Sally here?
Yes.
Without you leaving. Sally, please. We've assigned a social worker from our child study team, Sally Castellano, who is bilingual. She works with us for approximately a year. She's going to give an update as to the services. Of course, we cannot reveal, and nor would we reveal students' names or anything like that, but Ms. Castellano has been working around the clock over the weekend. Again, she is a social worker, and she is a child study team member for our district. Herb, and if Herb's son could stand up. And your name, sir?
I'm Ray Cervoni. I'm with the Lakewood Civilian Safety Watch.
Okay, and Herb is a board member. They're going to tell you a little about what they've been doing since Friday. So Herb or Ray, go right ahead.
Go ahead.
You got the mic?
Oh, so I'll move over, and we'll give you another chair. Kevin, could you get Sally, please? Apparently she needs.
So immediately following the fire, about 5 to 6 in the morning, Lakewood Civilian Safety Watch, in collaboration with the Board of Education, began an initiative to get back as much as we can for families from within the community. Anytime there's a disaster, I'm very happy to tell you that Lakewood always comes together and helps our community in need right away. So we began the initiative. We've been taking donations. We spread it through different news outlets as well as the media and just word of mouth. And I'm happy to say we've filled a 26-foot truck very quickly with all kinds of stuff, which we're going to be
And just for the public, because one of the reasons is to give you an update as to the families, some who are here, it's almost unbelievable, but one family I just met hasn't eaten for the last day. From what I understood, it was translated for me, but for more than a day, we're serving them lunch now. That was unexpected, but some of the things you guys and people collected were foodstuffs, appliances. What else?
We have several microwaves, we have some pieces of furniture, we have a lot of clothing, men's, women, kids, toddlers. So we have, yesterday we spent most of the day sorting through the numerous of bags. So we had tons of clothing and all in good condition and ready to be used.
And anyone who wants to donate, and we take donations, this is with, as you see, the showroom, the Lakewood Civilian Watch, and the Board of Ed. This is at Mr. Tire.
The address is 2023 Madison Avenue. For those from the community, that's in front of the old ShopRite Center. It's the old Goodyear. There's always someone there during store hours that will take any donations, and we'll obviously get it to the right place and make sure that these families are getting that.
Okay, so that's Mr. Tire, and that fundraising effort, that is supplies, food, appliances, furniture, can be brought to Mr. Tire, which was the old, you're right, when I grew up, Goodyear, so now I know where it is, on Highway 9. It's the Goodyear. What's the address?
2023 Madison Avenue.
Okay, and what are the hours people can bring supplies, food to?
We're open from Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 7, and we're also open 9 to 5 on Sunday.
And actually, we want to thank Ray. We've already given Ray the numbers of two families who are in need of food and in need of furniture. So we are hooking, Ray will get that to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ray. Do you live in Lakewood, or where do you live?
I actually live right at the end of Lakewood on Route 70.
Great. Did you happen to go to Lakewood schools?
Lakewood everything.
Oh, good. So you are a Lakewood graduate, and we could find those. It's good. What year did you graduate?
2008.
Thank you, Ray. Let's have a hand for Ray. Ray, your last name?
It's Treboni.
How do you spell that?
C-H-E-R-B as in boy, O-N-I.
And you're the manager at Mr. Tire?
Correct.
And you're doing this on a volunteer basis?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Any questions of Ray? Because we're going to, good. Our next person is, with the superintendent's permission, Sally Castellano. That is spelled Sally with a Y. Yes. Castellano, C-A-S-T-E-L-L-A-N-O. Sally is a social worker, is a case manager for our child study teams, which deals with classified children. She is assigned to Lakewood Middle School. Yes. She's been with us only a year. It seems like many, many years. Friday, when I was at the place where this all occurred, immediately Ms. Winter said, how about Sally? So Sally unfortunately has dealt with many of the tragedies in our community. If you may recall, in July, 2 fathers of our students were unfortunately killed in a motor vehicle accident. She's counseled those parents and still does. So Sally, if you could tell us, and I'll ask you a few questions.
Sure.
I was a reporter from my law school, St. John's. I was the editor there, but I don't want to be the reporter because we have plenty here. But just to ask some questions, because I know you were a little like, what do I say? You say you are fluent in Spanish.
Yes.
Okay, where did you go to school?
Monmouth University.
Great. And before coming to Lakewood Schools, where were you?
I worked for DIFAS for 8 years.
Okay. And how many students have been affected by this?
About 15, between 15 and 20.
15, 20 public school students throughout Lakewood Schools,
Yes.
from as young as preschool to as far as high school.
Yes.
And about how many students have been actually displaced?
About 10.
10. And what are you doing? Of course, no names. You would know that. We don't want to violate any FERPA rules or anything like that. So go ahead.
I am providing counseling, trauma-focused counseling. I'm a trained licensed clinical social worker, and I met with them, about 6 families yesterday, providing stay and trade therapy with them, children that were having a hard time sleeping at night, anxiety, separation anxiety from their parents. So I was able to use my tools, my experience to work with them, and they feel better. The parents, I received a couple of phone calls this morning letting me know that the children were able to sleep last night and were feeling better.
Some of the students are coming to school. Those students who can't, Mrs. Winters has arranged today for home instruction to be provided. Obviously, some of their homes unfortunately don't exist, so we'll be at the Lakewood Library or other accommodations for an interim basis.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'd like to introduce to you Rabbi Fried, if you could join us. This is Rabbi Fried. First name is Sruli, S-R-U-L-I, second name Fried. He is from an organization, a national organization called Chai. If you can't say Chai, Chai is good too. But Chai Lifeline, C-H-A-I,
Lifeline.
Lifeline, one word. Chai Lifeline, if you could tell us in short a little about what Chai Lifeline is.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Sroli Fried. I'm the regional director and social worker here from the New Jersey, Pennsylvania region of Chai Lifeline. Chai Lifeline is an international Jewish agency that provides services for families that have children with cancer or other serious life-threatening illnesses, as well as we provide services under our program Project Chai for crisis intervention in times of tragedy and crisis. And as someone that has been born and bred in Lakewood for 42 years, I know that at the DNA of this community is we come together in times of crisis. So first and foremost, our hearts go out for the families affected, and our hearts and prayers are with the families that are still in the hospital. But it's really remarkable to see how Lakewood unites in times of crisis and tragedy.
And what Rabbi Fried has worked out with Mrs. Winters, the superintendent, is tomorrow it will not be open to reporting, and because there will be a session given to any staff who has any of the children, that is, who have been affected, either directly or indirectly. Rabbi Fried, who is a social worker, will be providing that crisis training to staff, anyone who has interactions with the students. It will be tomorrow, tentatively at Oak Street School.
Yes, and for guidance counselors.
And for
as well.
guidance counselors.
But as well as Mr. Inzelbach, today I can say, together with Sally and the incredible team here from the district, we reached out and sent out pamphlets and handouts for the entire staff that how to guide parents as well as the educators, the teachers, the counselors, and how to respond to the children that have been affected. The most important things in times of tragedy is to know that the people that are closest to those affected are there for them, that the children that know that the people that love them most, that first line of defense, their parents, their teachers, their counselors, their school, is there for them. And what's important is to be able to train them and guide them in times like this, how they should be their best for their children. And as the director of the New Jersey region of Project Chai, and as a member of the national team of Project Chai Crisis Intervention, I've sadly been there way too many times in times of tragedy. Just the last 2 years alone in New York, a fire that killed several children, And to be able to be there for families and schools and communities in times like this is so critically important. And more important than us is the teachers, is the family members, and it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we train them during such difficult times.
Okay, perfect. And as we heard from our Rabbi Fried, there was 4 handouts given out today to every staff member via office mail. If you want a copy, we'll have it before you leave. If you could call Joanne. They are being translated into Spanish as we speak, but these are informational packages put together by social workers, psychologists, and others that are used in situations like this. So we thank you, Rabbi Fried. Thank you so much. Any questions for Rabbi Fried? Seeing none. Thank you again, Rabbi Fried. I just met this rabbi, so I'm going to call him Rabbi K. If you could join us for a moment. Rabbi K, what is your name? First, let's start with that.
Rabbi Yehuda Kasir. It's
How do you spell Kasir?
K-A-S-Z-I-R-E-R.
And there's an organization, it's a national organization called Bikur Cholim, B-I-K-U-R, second word Cholim, C-H-O-L-I-M. And what does, you also are a proud resident of Lakewood,
Correct.
I've learned. What does Bikur Cholim do throughout the state and wherever else?
Bikur Cholim provides services for family members and patients that find themselves in hospitals, be it accommodations, food that we provide, transportation, or accommodations, and we advocate for patients. Literally from when this tragedy struck at early morning on early Friday morning, myself and some of my other members of Bikur Cholim were in the hospital with the families, with the family members, literally throughout the process till they were transferred properly to the burn center.
And while we speak about that, we have, there are 3 residents of Lakewood currently at St. Barnabas Burn Center in Livingston, which their situation is, needs many, I'll say, prayers. We all can agree on that, I hope. Unfortunately, they were staying at some sort of hotel 10 minutes away. It was also not a cheap hotel, not that they were looking to stay. Bikur Cholim last night arranged for a room for them within an hour's notice at St. Barnabas, the burn unit in Livingston. And today has already arranged for them to be at a hotel closer to the hospital, about 5 miles away. We're not going to give the name of the hotel, which the Bikur Cholim Society is paying for, while the family, it looks like from what we've been told, it's going to be a long haul, but Bikur Cholim is at this point helping getting them accommodations as opposed to having no accommodations, and there's no, hospitals are not always set up for that, so we thank you for that. Thank you so much. While we're here, I'll ask, yes, if I could, I'm going to move over and let Sally is going to, if you want, go ahead, Sally. I do want to introduce Brenda. Come have a seat, and my Oak Street friend. Don't worry. These two people here are staff members of our district. If you could introduce yourself.
I'm Brenda Douglas.
I'm Jen Patel.
Brenda Douglas teaches at the middle school. She's a special ed teacher, and you teach?
I'm Jen Patel. I'm the librarian at Oak Street School.
And how do you spell your last name?
P-A-T-E-L-L-A.
And you, your involvement, I have to be, there's not enough compliments to, I don't believe we ever met, but on Friday morning when I was called by it, I thanked the township for their quick response. I said, Ms. Winters, who can we get here to help? And Ms. Patel was instantly there with clothing. She went to, was it Target or Walmart?
Went to Walmart.
Walmart, distributed clothing that morning with me to students. And Brenda, Ms. Douglas, who's also, she is modest, but she's been in the district 20 years. She teaches special education. She also is our student government advisor, which won national awards, thanks to the kids and Ms. Douglas. And she actually is in touch with some of the students who have reached out to her with text messages that tell a very, very sad story. So, thank you both for coming. We're going to ask you, unless you want to say something, of course, that's up to you. No? A little, so have a seat here, and then at their choice, we're going to have one of the families affected. They've asked Sally, so I'll turn it over to Sally.
So I took some notes, and she just wanted to thank everyone in the community in Lakewood.
These are people, these are the who are these?
The grandparents that were affected, unfortunately. She's a grandmother, her 2 children are hospitalized, and grandchild.
Can they
Okay.
come up to the mic?
If they're a little, if you can, but we're gonna try to be somewhat, okay?
She's speaking for me.
Okay, so, go ahead, Sally.
So she's, her daughter, her son, and grandchild are currently in the hospital. So she has been going through a lot since Friday morning. However, she feels very thankful for everything that the community has done for her, from phone calls, text messages, getting a room for her last night, so she was able to stay close to her family members last night. Donations, the school calling, reaching out, bringing uniforms, everything that's the district and the community together have done for her. She's very grateful for everything.
And Grandma, do you want to say anything? You don't have to if you
I
don't want.
just want to say thank you to everybody.
And her children are the,
My children are the adults that were burned, and my grandson is only 17 months old. But I appreciate so much everybody trying to help.
well, you don't want to,
I don't want to overwhelm her, yeah,
Right,
it was a lot for
okay.
her to even be here, yeah.
and thank you. Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank
And anything Lakewood Schools can do, we thank the Beaker Cholim who got the room, and hopefully tonight at that hotel, which Sally, you'll take care of. But thank you. One of our students actually asked to say, went through Sally, so if she wants, we're not gonna say her name, but she is a 9th grader. Brenda, maybe sit by Ms. Douglas, if you would. This is the real Lakewood Schools. This student, who is a 9th grader, actually was nearby the situation. Grandma also lives in the development. And the student reached out to her teacher via text that night to ask for help. And Ms. Douglas, to her credit, in the wee hours and whenever else, has been there for her. Anything, and I don't want, anything want to be added by anyone or not, or, okay? Okay, you don't have to. But this is one of our students who's in the high school who knew right away, reach out to Ms. Douglas, which she did on her own, and we've gotten some services, so we thank them for coming. We're gonna let them.
Are there any family members that will want to say something?
This is Grandma, who actually did say a few things.
Yeah, I know, but the other two are.
This is grandfather, and Sierra, do you
don't
want?
say anything?
Okay, we do have another family who is here, who is considering saying that, maybe the father, so we are going to be bringing them in shortly. We do want to be sensitive to the family needs, but we thank them for coming, and thank you. Okay, you can, you don't.
I have a question for the grandmother, and you don't have to answer these if you don't want to, but we were in your complex earlier, and there was a neighbor whose home is now basically filled from the ground to ceiling with donations from all the victims. You live in that complex. Can I ask you, what is that community like? How has everybody come together in that complex? I saw these donations, I was almost moved to tears from people in that neighborhood bringing things to this person's house for all the victims over there.
Well, tell them what somebody
Well,
did.
I don't know because I didn't receive anything.
Well, they're being stored at a house across the street, and I can get you the number of
Yeah, I know nothing about
They've
it.
been at the burn center
I've been
primarily.
at the hospital.
There's a whole drive right now in your neighborhood for your family and for the other families right now
Okay.
from people who live there, and it's unreal to see this entire apartment turned into just a giant donation.
Oh, well, Like I said, I had nothing.
Yeah, they've been at the burn center.
What's the spirit like in, what's that community like where you work?
Have you been home recently enough to?
No.
I'm gonna
was
bring you,
home.
there's another family hopefully
was-
who's been there. They've been at the burn center.
Yeah.
They came
I
home
was
today to
home
get
2
some.
hours, so I really don't know much of anything, but I'm sure that people will come together.
There's a big spirit going on in your neighborhood.
Thank you so much.
I thank you, because I wasn't even aware of it.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, we're going, unless you, yeah, we want to.
Thank you. Thank you, Sal.
Okay, are there any other questions, Board President, Mr. Roberto? Any other questions we could,
Do you have another family?
yeah, they're here, but unfortunately, believe it or not, they haven't eaten for, as I said, we just brought them lunch. They are having lunch and they are considering, whether they want to, come out, so we're gonna wait. Are there any other?
Have you guys been given any update on the cause and what's gonna be done now at this point?
As far as?
As far as reconstruction or?
Yeah,
something
we know that some of the landlords have been contacted. As a courtesy, I have asked for any information so I can write a letter as a lawyer to the landlords. But, for example, one family who was here has been displaced. Their unit, from what I learned, is not habitable. They are relocating to Toms River, where they have found already. But under the homeless statutes and law of New Jersey, we are going to be transporting those children up to a year to Lakewood schools and do a transition to that. We have also learned that the police are still actively investigating, and I might say this, and I forgot, the PBA, the police, they're making a large donation, from what I'm told, to the families, but there is an active investigation going on. From what we have unofficially been told, it started by a cigarette of some sort left, but we're not, at this point, we're not sure. But it was definitely something that caused all this. There are some other units that are being inspected as we speak, so we've been told by the inspection department to see if they are, but quite a few children have been, and our concern is everyone, but a specific emphasis on the children who attend school. Here, there are some kids from the charter school we met informally, but any other questions I could answer, I would definitely do. I can't compel this other family, and I think when we learned that they didn't have food for about a day plus, we have brought them food and have a nurse now with them.
Do you know if they are coming in?
I'm waiting. They're here.
Okay.
I also will say that Senator Singer's office, Robert Singer, has arranged for social services to be in touch with this family and these families to arrange for emergency housing and things like that. Any other questions? Because I will ask one.
Two questions real quick. Number one, some of the families were talking to us about concerns. They just put their rent money down for the following month, if they can get that back. You are an attorney, and I don't know what legal means they have, and they're trying to get deposit or their rent back, because they had pretty much, they're living month to month and they have nothing right now.
You know what, this was brought up to me yesterday, Sunday, and I told Sally and the other crisis team members to get information. Some of these families don't even know who their landlord is. Some of them, their papers, their leases or whatever are burnt in the fire. I did say, as a courtesy, at no charge to them or the district, we would write a letter to the landlords. One landlord we know already has been in contact with a family and is relocating them, but many of these families are not familiar with the legal system, surely, but some of them don't even speak English. And I had myself had a house fire. It was a bit different, but they have no papers to even show who their landlord is. But if they get that information, I've also written to the mayor and the deputy mayor and the town attorney, because if we give the addresses, lot and block, hopefully there is in Lakewood a requirement for rental COs, so that might be a way also. So we are trying to get that. This all occurred late Thursday, Friday.
And unrelated to this transpire last week at the most recent board meeting. I heard from some people, they're concerned about asking for identification before they're allowed into the board meeting.
Yeah.
They're worried that they might not have identification, but still want to be a part of the board meeting. Can you touch on the fact why you were asking, or whoever is
Well,
asking for
the security team, could you see if Rob is here? I'll let him answer that. Rob DeSimone, a former Lakewood police officer, is the head of security. From what I understand, any type, let me ask Rob. Rob, if you would join me and Ms. Winters. A question was asked, can you repeat your question?
So, some people have asked me to find out about the requirement for showing ID to attend a public Board of Education meeting. I guess they were required to show ID at the most recent meeting before it was canceled last week. Can you touch on the fact why that ID was required? And are you gonna be requiring that for all future meetings, and why?
Yes, actually, anybody visits one of our buildings, we're gonna be requiring identification to be shown. Just so that we know who's coming and going, basically because we have a lot of children inside the buildings, so we wanna be able to safeguard security of our kids.
So what if a family is here illegally, but they still wanna?
What's your name? I forgot. Well, 1 minute, sir. It's our meeting. The response to that is, and maybe it wasn't, maybe he's not making it
My
clear.
name's Jim Murdoch.
All
I
right.
work for News 12 New Jersey.
Thank you,
met
Jim.
me before.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I just forgot your last name. Jim, as other reporters have witnessed, no one is being made to have, it doesn't have to be if you're alluding to, I believe your word was they're not here legally, and if I I think that's what you said. You don't have to be here legally to have ID. In fact, many of our family members have shown us ID from Mexico or other such things.
We do not judge the immigration status of anybody visiting our building. Basically, we're just asking for a photo identification.
Whatever it was enough for me to get a couple of concerned emails, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
we
just
don't,
checking,
like I
so.
said, we don't determine your immigration status. We accept any type of photo identification. If you come visit one of our schools and don't have photo identification, if you're able to verify, say through the school principal, that you're a parent of a student, we allow you in.
Is the ACLU checking on that right now?
We have no idea.
And I have never heard of any kind of a public school board meeting where you have to show ID to be able to sit in.
Well, actually,
It's new to me.
well, it's new to you. It's also new to us. At our last meeting, we actually had a suspicious object which caused the meeting to be canceled. But this is the requirement. We have checked this. We are waiting for further clarification from the state. But at this point, we have had some active threats, if you will. So we are at this point, better safe than sorry. As far as if I haven't heard, and if we do hear, we'll actually collaborate with them. But as you may have heard or read, we had a meeting at our preschool campus where there was some sort of suspicious object which resulted in the meeting being canceled. Lakewood Police, who else was involved?
Lakewood Police and Ocean County Sheriff's Department K-9 unit responded with a explosive detection dog.
What was found?
It was found to be an empty suitcase that was placed out in front of our meeting area. It was, at the time, it was seen to be a suspicious object, and certain protocols are put in place. At that time, the police department notified me that they were asking for the explosion detection dog. Following protocols, we then evacuated the area.
Was the ID process before or after this security incident?
Before.
Yes. And actually, I did, to a credit to the Lakewood Police Department, they did contact us today to one of the ideas some of the parents brought up at the meeting or thereafter. And I'm just repeating, so if I'm saying it wrong, a canine check, I don't know, but essentially have, for lack of a better word, sniffing dogs who will be checking the area before the meeting, because that was one of the ideas was brought up by a parent. If you recall, you were there, Gustavo, and I said, well, let's check into that. So they contacted me today and said, we'll have that for your next meeting in advance. Even though we are learning that the suitcase, what I've heard from our security personnel, was not there at the beginning. The meeting or the opening began at 6, At 6, it was not there. By the time 7:15, it was there. So those are some of the things we're dealing with. It's new to us too.
But just to be clear, the ID check was before
Oh,
the
sure.
suspicious.
Yeah, we'll say it 3 times. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let me just check if the family, again, we're not going to compel people to come and to do this, but let me just check if they're available, and we'll be right back, okay? If they're not, you did meet with the grandmother who, and one of the students who was part of that, and unfortunately, the other family members are in the burn unit, but let me check, okay? And how long is this gonna go on for the drive to get food and clothes? Maybe you can.
Michael. Michael. Michael.
So in reference to what Michael just said about how long it's going for, we don't have a set time. So we can keep this going as long as the families need
Well, you
and
see
for as
that
long as we
magic?
can.
I go out the left door.
Thank you.
No problem.
We're not gonna compel them, are you okay? Okay,
They have to go to the mic.
well, they're gonna stay here, so,
We need to move the mic over then?
so please do.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll get them on.
Thank you.
You're very helpful.
They're a little reluctant. Sorry.
Do you have any families who want to go on, because we don't want to.
Well, nor do I, so, they were asked apparently, and that's why Sally, they are willing to speak a little? That's what we're doing. Yes, they speak in Spanish, so, go ahead, Sally.
¿Qué usted les gustaría decir?
Pues agradecido, ¿verdad? Con la ayuda que nos ha ofrecido la comunidad.
He's grateful for all the help from the community.
Un poco sorprendido por todo, pero gracias a Dios estamos muy contentos con los servicios que la escuela ahora nos ha apoyado con nuestras hijas.
He's very surprised for everything that had happened, but he's very thankful for all the help that he has received from the district for his daughters.
So, I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. A toda la comunidad hispana, pues gracias por la ayuda, por las pequeñas ayudas, ropa que nos han podido brindar, comida.
Thank you to the Hispanic community for the donations, clothes, food, everything that has been donated.
And you, if you're comfortable,
Si usted está cómodo en esto.
you have 2 children in Lakewood schools?
Usted tiene dos
Tengo
niñas.
dos niñas, gracias al apoyo también del abogado, de los maestros, del principal, a las maestras de mis alumnas,
I heard
de mis
abogado.
hijas, perdón. Sí, ellos nos han hecho sentir un poco mejor, ¿verdad? Que yo sentí un proceso difícil de superar, pero
What is he
This
saying?
is a very difficult situation for them, but they have received a lot of support from the principal, superintendent, teachers, attorneys, so they're grateful for the support.
If they're comfortable, and only if they are there any questions, if they're comfortable?
Sally, I'll ask the question I asked the grandma before. In their apartment complex, there's that neighbor that has just taken it upon themselves to get a tremendous amount of donations from the actual neighbors in there. Have they seen that? And what's their reaction knowing their fellow neighbors are just really coming under things?
Hay un vecino que ha juntado muchas donaciones en su casa afuera. Ellos quieren saber cómo se sienten ustedes de toda esa ayuda que han dado.
You could tell Sally and she'll try.
¿Cómo se sienten?
muy bien,
Very good.
muy agradecido con ellos.
Very
¿verdad?
grateful
Sí.
for everything they have done. ¿Cómo es la comunidad? ¿Ha ayudado mucho?
Sí, la verdad que sí, la comunidad desde el momento, ellos han estado ahí pendientes, buscando el teléfono de uno que necesita, lo más necesario, pues ellos han brindado lo más que puedan.
They have felt a lot of support for the community, reaching out, calling, asking how they were doing, why they needed it. So it's a good feeling for them.
Any other,
En este momento, ¿dónde se están quedando?
wait, if you're, it's fine in Spanish, but just translate it to English, so.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yes.
Hablo lingua. En este momento, ¿dónde se están quedando? ¿Cómo está su situación? In this moment, where are you guys staying? What is your situation currently?
Thank you.
Nos estamos quedando donde mi cuñado, él nos ofreció ahí un espacio pequeño. pero somos 6 en la familia y estamos muy cómodos, pero estamos por lo menos ahorita por el momento.
Sally, if you could just, I know Gustavo knows, but could know.
They're staying with a family member, six people in the house, so it's a lot of people in there right now, but they're staying with a family member.
And are they I'm sorry if are they planning on, what are their, if they want, if they feel comfortable,
Si ustedes se sienten como, ¿cuál es
are
su
they
plan?
planning on relocating
¿Se
or?
van a mudar?
Sí, el plan es mudarnos, gracias a Dios la comunidad me ayudaron a conseguir una casa en Tom River. Yo hice un trato con la persona que es judío, me va a dar por lo menos una semana o unos 3 días para que le pague.
I know, poco, but go ahead.
So they found a house in Toms River where they're gonna be